Hi, I'm Bethany and I love learning languages. Here is the story of my language learning journey. Let's start with my childhood. I went to a Montessori school from preschool all the way to 5th grade. If you know anything about Montessori, it is that the environment allows children to freely move around and converse with other students. The Montessori method also teaches grammar in a visual way through symbolizing, which I absolutely love. English is my native language, but we also had Spanish once a week, which at that point I was not very into, but I love Spanish now. After elementary school comes middle school, which I would rather not bring up, but I will mention it because 1, they didn't offer any language classes, and 2, after the freedom of being able to communicate basically anytime I wanted to in the Montessori environment, I closed up and I was super shy for all of middle school and most of high school. Now on to high school, I only had 2 goals in terms of classes. Those were to take all 4 years of choir and all 4 years of Spanish. After hearing how shy I was, those probably seemed like odd goals, but they were completed. I really enjoyed high school Spanish, although I didn't know how to speak it well afterwards. It made me realize how much I love grammar. It also made me realize that I wanted to major in Spanish in college. Before getting to the college chunk of this language learning journey, I wanted to mention that my family and I took a trip one summer to London and Paris. We studied a tiny bit of French before we went, but unfortunately, it was pretty easy to speak English there and we got along with it fine. Now, time for college. Right after I graduated, I started playing a popular language learning app, and now I only play it to keep up my 2,000 plus day streak. Is it the best way to learn a language? No. I absolutely loved my college experience and being a Spanish major. I took a lot of Spanish classes, my favorites being Spanish grammar and Spanish linguistics. I learned a ton about Spanish through the traditional method of taking language learning classes. I also minored in communications because I enjoyed giving speeches, which was such a change from my teenage years. I also took French classes and realized I loved learning multiple languages at one time. Once you know how to learn a language and all the basics, it is easier to learn other languages. The highlight of my college experience was studying abroad in Bilbao, Spain. I learned so much about the culture and Spanish. I actually have videos of my time in Bilbao. If you want to watch them, I will link them down below. It was cool to have to speak Spanish with locals and my host family. After college, I decided to work in a Montessori school, and I went on to be trained to become a certified Elementary 1 Montessori teacher. During this time, I studied languages, but I wish I had studied them more. After having to teach students both online and in person, I realized how much Montessori and language learning connected. So I took my 2 passions of language learning and Montessori and put them together to make a language learning method inspired by the Montessori method. This method is different than learning languages in the traditional classroom style. If you want to follow along and see this method, I will be posting my beginner level language learning experience with Italian, my intermediate level of language learning in French, and my advanced level of language learning in Spanish using this 3-part method. If you want to read more about it, you can visit my website down below. Thank you so much for listening to my language learning journey.